Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session of Coffee and Counseling, where we don't spill the tea, but the coffee will be piping hot. We'll talk about all things counseling. We're your hosts, Rachel Steinhardt.
And Stephanie Van Shake. And today we're going to talk all about survival mode and when surviving in life is more than enough and it's okay to not be thriving. So first and foremost, we hope everyone is doing great. However, if you're not, that's totally okay too. And this episode is definitely not going to be one to miss. Before we get on into that, Rachel, how have you been? How's your week going?
It's going good. It's been a little bit of an interesting week. We're potty training my 2-year-old. So, all of you parents out there understand the horrors of potty training. We've tried leaving diapers on, leaving diapers off, pull ups, underwear, and the girl just is not cooperating. So talk about being in survival mode. It's like survival mode with her right now in the house. Like just praying to God. Like you have cats littering everywhere. I have a child littering everywhere or just deciding like the toilet's not for her. But when I put her to sleep, that's when she decides she needs to go potty. So I put her down for bedtime and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. The kids are down. And she's, Mommy, I have to go potty. I'm like, really? Why didn't you go potty the other 150 times I asked you today? That's been my household festivities the past week. I'll let you know how it go, guys. If you have tips and tricks, I did it with my 3-year-old, but it took a really long time. Anyone who wants to throw ideas at me, go for it. I welcome suggestions because this is not a fun process.
Doesn't sound fun at all. And Rachel, or for anyone watching, my life just got a little bit more complicated in the last like 30 seconds. So before we started recording, I didn't tell you, Rachel, one of my cats, the most destructive one yet, was staring at a clock that I had I haven't hung it up yet. So it's just sitting on like my filing cabinet right now. And no joke, for like 10 or 15 minutes, he was just watching the second hand move, 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 move. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna lunge at it and it's gonna go crazy. So anyway, right before we started recording, he had walked away and left. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then he just jumps up here right now. And if you saw, I try to move him, and he is attempting to pull out papers everywhere, and they just know, that you're recording. While I can't empathize fully with what you're going through, I can only imagine. Good luck with that. And hopefully we could get some of our listeners to give you some tips and tricks on Instagram at Coffee and Counseling Podcast. But .com. No, at Coffee and Counseling Podcast. My millennial is showing. All right. Everything is a www. All right, so let's talk about survival mode. We're going to dive into what it is, when you might be going through it, how to recognize that that's what you need and that's where you're at in life. I want to preface with talking about the pressure to always be working on yourself. We live in a culture that really talks and emphasizes that we should be thriving at any given point in our lives. And that, can be exhausting in and of itself and super unrealistic. And unfortunately, when we are constantly hearing messages like this all around us, and especially exasperated by social media, it could be a cause to really judge ourselves and be harsh on ourselves and not really understand that a lot of people, I would say every person, has gone through moments in life where survival is really what they should be focusing on. And that should be the only goal. That's the most appropriate goal at that point. And there's just seasons in life that is what the only goal to have. And that's totally okay. And we need to work on destigmatizing that and not judging so harshly others or ourselves when that is. And we need to really acknowledge that survival mode is a legitimate state. It's not a failure by any means. And it is just one of the times in life that we just need to focus on our basic needs and just getting through the day. And we're going to talk a lot more about this. But first, Rachel's going to give us a little bit more on why this matters to even recognize this and about survival mode.
Yeah. So, and Stephanie said we all have seasons of life and, different moments of our level of productivity, our ability to give of ourselves, our ability to be present, our ability to get certain tasks done and certain goals met, and understanding that when you are in this space, first of all, understanding what it looks like to be in this space, like what events might cause you to be in this space, what your life might look like at that time, being able to identify that, and then showing yourself some grace, because at the end of the day, you only have so much to give. And when you're in this space, you're you're not going to be able to give more than you have. So understanding that right now, this is what my cup looks like. This is what I'm pouring out of. And allowing yourself the time to just get through that day, just get through that week, just get through that time period, as long as that survival mode is going on, depending on whatever it is, and not drowned in the guilt and shame that tends to come with it. I know Stephanie and I, in the time that we worked together, and in the time that we worked separately, have dealt with this issue with clients so often, where there's so much self-hate on why am I not doing better, and why am I not accomplishing more, and what is wrong with me, and other people in this situation are able to do X, Y, and Z, which is another huge thing to understand, that survival mode, even in a very similar, even potentially identical to some degree situation, which, let's be real, there's no situations that are exactly identical, but even if surface level it looks like the same story, you're gonna process it differently, you're gonna deal with it differently. And I say this all the time, comparison is just the thief of happiness, and the thief of being able to give yourself love and give yourself, like I said, that grace. Going through life, when this comes up, not kind of recognizing what's going on for you, it is really easy to start doubting yourself and questioning yourself and saying, why can't I just get my stuff together? Why can't I figure this out faster? Why did I spend the whole day today like lying in bed? Whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever your survival mode looks like, understanding that that's part of the process, understanding that like you just getting X, Y, and Z done today, that was good. That was enough for you. And to kind of just bring this to light as well while we're having this topic, I think, a lot of the times therapists, when we're bringing up inspirational quotes or like reminders, or you're writing on your social media, for whoever needs to hear this, and we talk about things like, if all you did today was get out of bed, like that's okay. We're not sitting here telling people don't push yourself and don't go for the gold and don't run after your dreams, or like, oh, like don't trigger yourself into trying things that are hard. Not at all. Especially Steph and I don't operate that way. But what we're saying is, for those of you who are in this mode, for those of you where you're in that survival space and getting out of bed this morning was a big deal, take it for what it is. It's a big deal, and give yourself that credit. If somebody just got into a severe accident and they haven't gotten out of bed in days, or they haven't walked, or they're relearning how to do that, taking a step a couple of months ago might not have been a big deal. But taking a step in that state is a humongous deal.
Yeah.
And so you have to look at yourself in survival mode and say, what are my like quote unquote big first steps in this space, in this recovery, in this time, in this whatever it is that's coming up for you, in that whatever that looks like, understanding that things that normally and ordinarily are just common sense or just easy, or things that you would just normally do, it's not going to look the same when you are in survival mode. And just really internalizing that for yourself.
Yeah, we're absolutely not saying to not challenge yourself. However, that's why when I say that it is a legitimate state, it's not a matter of laziness or anything like that. It is truly what is needed. And this is why we're hoping that at the end of the session today, you're going to have a really good understanding as to how to identify whether or not you're in survival mode, or if it's like every bone in your body is pushing to just be in this mode and not be pushing yourself further than that, and recognizing that and honoring that. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to be in survival mode, and what are some indicators to help you know and recognize that you're in survival mode. So not one of these things in and of itself is going to say, oh yeah, I'm in survival mode, or I need to be just recognizing and honoring survival mode. But it's going to give you a good indication that if you're experiencing multiple things in this, it might be a sign that you are needing to honor that you are just in a survival mode at this point. So some things that you might be experiencing is a feeling of exhaustion, feeling mentally overwhelmed or emotionally drained. Those are some really big mental and emotional signs that you can recognize. And if that's something that you are experiencing, not just on a given day, because maybe you had a tough day, but if it's a pattern, that's an important thing to take note of. If you are having a sense of just getting through the day, or just telling yourself, just get through the day, just get through the day, or just get through the next 5 minutes, again, if it becomes a pattern, sometimes we have to this way in a stressful day or something like that. But if you are recognizing that daily you are having these thoughts, and maybe you're even having a hard time even just getting through the day, big sign that you might be needing to enter survival mode and honor that. Difficulty making decisions or planning for the future, or being able to even conceptualize what future goals you want to have or you want to work on, or even being able to go there, that's a sign as well. So, what we need to do when we are experiencing survival mode is, first and foremost, we need to prioritize our immediate needs over our long term goals. And our long term goals, that would be more in line with what we would call thriving, which we're going to actually have an entire session. The next session is going to be about thriving. So, make sure to tune back for that. But for now, when we're talking about surviving, we have to talk about prioritizing our immediate needs. So one of the best ways that I could reference this is something that I love to reference is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's one of my therapeutic tingles. I love talking about this. And especially when it comes to survival. When my client and I identify that you are in survival mode and now we have to figure out how to get through this, first and foremost, we do have to have some grace with ourselves, and that's going to be a big part of working on it. But we need to first look at your physiological needs, your physical needs. And that's so Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I probably should preface with what that is. It is a hierarchy that